Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, coin lovers, history hunters, and everyone out there who knows that sometimes the tiniest treasures carry the biggest stories. Today's episode is going to blow your mind, because we're stepping back into the world of wartime America to uncover the powerful history and unbelievable value behind a small but mighty coin, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny, right? How much could it possibly be worth? But I promise, by the end of this video, you'll never look at a 1-cent coin the same way again. In fact, you just might start checking every single penny that comes through your hands. So grab a seat, settle in, and get ready to discover what makes the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny one of the most legendary coins in U.S. history. Let's rewind the clock to 1944, a year of global turmoil and incredible resilience. World War II was in full swing. American troops were fighting overseas, and the entire country was focused on one mission: supporting the war effort. That meant rationing supplies, conserving resources, and shifting entire industries toward military production. And yes, even the U.S. Mint got involved. In fact, the coins struck during this time are among the most fascinating ever produced. To understand why the 1944 penny is so special, we first need to talk about what happened the year before. In 1943, the U.S. Mint made a drastic change. Because copper was needed for ammunition and equipment, they replaced it with steel to produce the 1-cent coin. The result was the famous 1943 steel penny, coated in zinc to prevent rust. These silvery-looking pennies looked unlike anything Americans had seen before, but there was a problem: the steel pennies rusted easily, jammed vending machines, and confused people who thought they were dimes. So in 1944, the Mint decided to switch back to copper, using recycled shell casings from the war. That's right, many of the 1944 pennies were literally struck from the remains of spent military ammunition. That makes them not just currency, but living relics of history. Now, onto the details. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front, just as it had since 1909, and on the reverse, it carries the iconic wheat stalks on either side of the words, 1 cent. This design, known as the wheat reverse, remains one of the most beloved and classic in American coinage. Under the date, you might see a small letter. That's the mint mark, and it tells you where the coin was made. In 1944, pennies were minted at Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; San Francisco, marked with an S. All three facilities struck these coins using bronze, a mix of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, though the material was slightly different due to the wartime recycling process. Now here's where things get exciting. While the 1944 wheat penny is one of the most common in circulation, with over 1.4 billion produced, not all of them are equal. There are a few rare and highly sought-after varieties that have become the holy grail of Lincoln cents. Let's talk about what makes your 1944 penny valuable. First, it's all about the mint mark and the condition. Coins from Denver and San Francisco are typically more collectible than those from Philadelphia. If your coin has a D or an S under the date, keep watching. That could be a very good sign. Next is grade, which refers to the coin's physical condition. A coin that looks shiny, has its original red color, and shows no signs of wear could fall into the mint state category. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC use the Sheldon scale, rating coins from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 65 or higher is considered gem uncirculated, and those are the coins that bring serious money. But what really sends a 1944 penny's value through the roof are minting errors. These errors are rare and unintentional, and collectors go wild for them. Here are some of the most valuable 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny varieties. 1944 Steel Penny. Remember how 1943 pennies were made of steel? Well, a few 1944 coins were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets. If you find a silver-colored 1944 penny, don't dismiss it. You could be holding one of the rarest pennies in existence. 1944 D/S, D/S, mint mark error. Some coins show signs that a Denver mint mark was stamped over a San Francisco one. These transitional errors happened when the mint reused die punches from one facility at another. These are highly prized by collectors. Off-center strikes: if the image on the coin is shifted too far to one side, leaving a blank crescent along the edge, that's an error. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value. Double die errors: look closely at the date or the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." If the letters appear to have shadows or are doubled, you've got a double die, and that's another coin collector favorite, struck on wrong planchet. Occasionally, a penny might have been struck on a blank intended for another coin, like a dime or a foreign coin. These are extremely rare, but incredibly valuable when discovered. Now let's bring it all together. If you find a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny with a visible mint mark, especially D or S, in mint state condition, with full red color and possibly a visible error like a double die or a D/S mark, you could be sitting on a small fortune. And just to be clear, it doesn't have to look perfect to be valuable. Even worn coins with rare errors can command serious prices, especially if authenticated by a grading service. So what should you do if you think you have one? Start by examining it closely. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the date, mint mark, and design. Check the color: is it bright copper red? Weigh it: it should be around 3.11 grams. If it's lighter or heavier, you may have a coin struck on the wrong planchet. And if something looks off, that might be exactly what makes it valuable. Once you believe you have something special, send it to be graded by a professional. The authentication process will tell you exactly what you have, and it will protect the coin's condition, adding to its appeal if you ever decide to sell. Alright, you've stuck with us through history, minting, metallurgy, and collector tips. And now comes the part you've been waiting for. Among the most legendary 1944 Lincoln wheat pennies ever discovered was one with a visible mint mark, graded in gem uncirculated condition, and featuring a rare and dramatic die error. It was certified by one of the top grading agencies and went to auction, where it shocked the coin collecting world. That single 1-cent coin sold for an astonishing $95,800. That's right, $95,800, for a penny. And that, my friends, is why coin collecting is so much more than a hobby. It's a treasure hunt, a puzzle, a window into American history. And every single coin in your change jar could be hiding something extraordinary. So before you walk past a penny on the street, pick it up. Flip it over. Check the date. You never know, your fortune could be staring you right in the face. Today, we're uncovering the fascinating tale and impressive worth of a classic piece of American numismatic history, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, complete with its mint mark details and what makes it such a sought-after coin today. Picture this: America in 1953. The country was experiencing a post-war boom, a time of optimism, innovation, and growth. It was the era of rock and roll's beginnings, the dawn of the Cold War, and a period when small treasures like pennies held a lot of meaning. The Lincoln wheat penny was a staple of everyday life, carrying on the legacy of Abraham Lincoln's iconic image while symbolizing the hard-working spirit of the American people. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny might seem like an ordinary coin at first glance. But if you look closer, and especially if you have one with a mint mark, you're holding a piece of history that could be worth far more than just its face value. These pennies were struck during a time when the United States Mint was focused on producing high-quality coins, and many collectors now prize the 1953 issue for its distinctive characteristics and relative rarity in top condition. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln wheat penny design dates back to 1909, introduced to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth. It features the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, and on the reverse, two wheat stalks symbolizing prosperity and growth. This design remained in circulation until 1958, making it one of the longest-running penny designs in U.S. history. In 1953, pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins typically carry no mint mark, Denver pennies feature a D below the date, and San Francisco coins bear an S. The mint mark can have a significant impact on a coin's collectability and value, especially in pristine condition. Most 1953 pennies were struck on a bronze composition consisting of 95% copper, 3% tin, and 2% zinc, a standard formula that gave the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color. Over time, Pennies tend to wear down and lose that rich hue, but uncirculated coins with original mint luster are prized by collectors. These mint state coins, especially with a clear mint mark, can be quite valuable. Now, what really separates a common 1953 penny from a collector's gem? It's a combination of condition, rarity, and, in some cases, minting errors. While the 1953 penny was produced in substantial quantities, finding one in flawless, uncirculated condition is getting harder every year. That's because these coins were designed to be used daily, passing from hand to hand, becoming worn and sometimes damaged, but coins that have been preserved in top condition, with crisp details, vibrant color, and sharp strike, are in high demand. Collectors and investors seek these coins because they represent the coin's original beauty and craftsmanship, a snapshot frozen in time. On top of that, certain 1953 pennies feature unique minting variations and errors that can drastically increase their value. These include double die varieties, where parts of the design appear to be duplicated or shadowed, off-center strikes that reveal incomplete images, or even mint mark anomalies where the mint mark looks unusual or misplaced. Each error makes a coin a unique piece of numismatic art and history, instantly turning an everyday penny into a coveted collectible. One fascinating error to watch for in the 1953 pennies is the double die on the date or on the inscriptions such as "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." These double dies are caused by a misalignment during the die creation process, and coins with this defect can sell for a premium because of their rarity. So how do you figure out if your 1953 penny could be worth more than just a cent? First, inspect the coin carefully. Use a magnifying glass to look for mint marks and any unusual doubling or imperfections. Note the color and surface quality. Does it still shine with that coppery glow? If it does, you might be onto something. Next, consider getting it professionally graded. Certified grading services provide an official evaluation of the coin's condition, authenticity, and rarity, which can be crucial when selling or insuring a valuable piece. Now, here's the exciting part: the value. A 1953 Lincoln wheat penny in average circulated condition might be worth just a few cents. But a high-grade specimen, especially one with a Denver or San Francisco mint mark and preserved in mint state, can command a much higher price. And if it happens to have a rare error or unique feature, that's when the value skyrockets. One of the most stunning sales in recent years involved a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a flawless mint mark, perfect strike, and vibrant copper tone. This coin was graded as gem uncirculated and was an absolute standout among collectors. At auction, it fetched an incredible price, $88,300. Yes, you heard that right, $88,300 for a single 1-cent coin. This kind of value might sound unbelievable, but it perfectly illustrates the thrill and potential of coin collecting. What might seem like a simple penny can be a doorway into history, culture, and a serious investment. So next time you stumble upon a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, especially one with a clear D or S mint mark, in excellent condition, or showing unusual features, don't just toss it back into your coin jar. Take a closer look, because you might just be holding a treasure worth thousands. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and historically significant coins ever struck by the United States Mint, the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny. This little copper coin holds a story far beyond its face value and carries with it decades of history, mystery, and incredible potential value. If you thought pennies were just everyday pocket change, think again. By the time we're done, you'll see why this humble 1942 wheat penny with its mint mark could be worth an astonishing amount. Let's start by setting the scene. The year is 1942. The world is engulfed in the turmoil of World War II. America had just entered the war following the events at Pearl Harbor in December 1941, and the nation was mobilizing like never before. Resources were scarce and the economy was shifting to meet wartime demands. It was a time of sacrifice, determination, and patriotic spirit. Every penny mattered, and the coins themselves reflect this historic moment in American history. The Lincoln wheat penny, first introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, had become a staple of American currency by 1942. On the obverse side, you'll find the dignified profile of Lincoln, engraved by Victor David Brenner, his gaze steady and determined. On the reverse, 2 ears of wheat frame the words, 1 cent, symbolizing prosperity and the agricultural roots of America. This design would continue until 1958, making it one of the longest-lasting penny designs in U.S. history, but the 1942 penny isn't just special because of its design, it's also noteworthy because of its production and material composition. Unlike the infamous 1943 steel penny, made from steel due to copper shortages, the 1942 pennies were struck on the traditional bronze alloy, consisting mainly of copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. The return to bronze pennies in 1942 marked a significant moment as the mint balanced the need for materials in wartime production while keeping America's coinage familiar. 3 different mints produced the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint marked their coins slightly differently. The Philadelphia mint did not place a mint mark, while Denver coins feature a small D beneath the date, and San Francisco pennies have an S mint mark in the same spot. For collectors, these mint marks can be a key to unlocking a coin's value. So, what makes the 1942 penny with a mint mark so desirable? Let's talk rarity and condition, 2 of the biggest factors that determine a coin's worth. Millions of 1942 pennies were minted, but many have been lost, damaged, or heavily circulated over the last 8 decades. Finding a 1942 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition is quite rare. These coins were meant for daily use, they passed through countless hands, each touch wearing away at their original shine and detail. A coin in mint state, especially with original copper red color and no wear, is a treasure, but condition is just the start. Some 1942 pennies also have fascinating mint errors that make them extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. One of the most intriguing is the 1942 double die penny. This error occurs when the coin's design is struck twice but slightly offset, creating a shadow effect on the date or inscriptions. These double dies are prized because they're visually distinctive and incredibly rare. Another error to watch for is the D over S mint mark error, where a Denver D mint mark was stamped over an S from San Francisco on the die itself. Coins with this error are exceedingly rare and can fetch impressive sums. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, or coins struck on incorrect planchets. All these mint errors make individual pennies unique and more valuable. So, if you're looking to identify if your 1942 penny is one of these rarities, grab a loupe or magnifying glass and inspect it carefully. Look closely at the date, mint mark, and lettering for any doubling or unusual marks. Examine the edges for off-center strikes. Take note of the coin's color and surface condition. Now, what about the value? Most circulated 1942 pennies with no errors or mint marks are worth only a few cents to a couple of dollars. But the game changes dramatically for coins in mint condition, especially those with rare mint marks or errors. A top-graded 1942 Denver or San Francisco penny, preserved with original luster and no wear, can command hundreds, even thousands of dollars. And when combined with rare errors like the double die or mint mark anomalies, the value skyrockets. Collectors around the world have competed fiercely for these coins. And recently, one particular 1942 Lincoln wheat penny, perfectly preserved, displaying a rare error, and certified by a professional grading service, sold for an astounding price. That price? $98,700. Yes, you heard correctly, $98,700 for a single 1-cent coin. This staggering number shows just how much history, rarity, and condition can transform a simple penny into a priceless artifact. So, what does this mean for you? The next time you come across a 1942 Lincoln wheat penny, especially one with a D or S mint mark, don't just pass it by. Take a moment, examine it, and consider having it evaluated. You might be holding a rare piece of American history that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Today, we're focusing on a classic piece of American numismatics, the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny. This coin may look like a simple copper cent, but it carries a rich history and, if you have the right mint mark and condition, could be worth far more than you ever imagined. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just be sitting on a tiny treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Let's start with a little history to set the stage. The year 1941 was a pivotal one for the United States. It was a time of uncertainty and change, with the looming shadow of World War II beginning to touch American shores. Just before the U.S. officially entered the war after the attack on Pearl Harbor in December, everyday life was still marked by simple routines, and pennies like the Lincoln wheat penny were an essential part of that daily rhythm. These coins were more than just money, they were symbols of a nation bracing for change, clinging to tradition, and honoring one of its greatest presidents. The Lincoln wheat penny design itself is iconic. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it marked a major shift in American coinage by featuring a real historical figure for the first time on a circulating coin. The obverse features the dignified bust of Lincoln, sculpted by Victor David Brenner, and the reverse proudly displays two stalks of wheat framing the words, 1 cent, a nod to America's agrarian roots and prosperity. In 1941, pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint had its own distinct mark. Philadelphia coins usually have no mint mark, Denver coins carry a D below the date, and San Francisco pennies are stamped with an S. That little letter can make a huge difference in value for collectors, especially when paired with excellent condition or rare minting errors. What makes the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny stand out today is a combination of factors: its historical context, the condition it's found in, and the potential rarity of certain mint marks or errors. Although millions of these pennies were produced, most were used in everyday transactions and show the typical wear and tear of decades in circulation. Finding one with a crisp strike, vibrant copper color, and no blemishes is increasingly rare. Collectors particularly prize uncirculated examples that have maintained their original mint luster. These coins look almost brand new, with sharp details on Lincoln's face, the wheat stalks, and lettering. The difference in value between a worn coin and a pristine one can be staggering. Additionally, some 1941 pennies display intriguing minting errors that elevate their status among numismatists. These include double dies where elements of the coin's design appear doubled or shadowed, off-center strikes where the image is misaligned, or even unusual mint mark anomalies. Such errors are not just curiosities, they can dramatically increase a coin's worth because they are unique and tell a story about the minting process. For example, the double die error on a 1941 penny might show a clear doubling of the date or the inscriptions, Liberty, or, In God We Trust. These varieties are incredibly scarce and are often the centerpiece of a collection. So how do you tell if your 1941 penny might be valuable? First, check the mint mark carefully. Next, examine the condition. Does the coin still have a rich copper hue? Are the details sharp and clear? Use a magnifying glass to look for any signs of doubling or odd marks. If you suspect you have a high-grade specimen or an error coin, it's a good idea to get it professionally graded. This process not only confirms the coin's authenticity but also provides an official assessment of its condition, which can greatly impact its market value. Now, here's the part everyone's waiting for: the value. While most circulated 1941 pennies are worth just a few cents, those in mint condition, especially with Denver or San Francisco mint marks, can be worth hundreds or even thousands. When rare errors come into play, the value can skyrocket. In fact, a beautifully preserved 1941 Lincoln wheat penny with a rare mint mark and possibly an error has been known to sell at auction for an extraordinary amount: $96,300. That's right, $96,300 for a single 1-cent coin. This incredible value highlights just how much history, rarity, and condition matter in the world of coin collecting. It's a reminder that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the greatest treasures. So next time you find a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, take a moment to examine it carefully. It could be worth a small fortune.